So 2005 comes around, and around this time, it seemed that not that heavy metal as a whole started to make a big comeback. Because you would have popular bands such as Slipknot and Disturbed kind of incorporating a lot of the old school metal sound into their styles, but in choice locations. Slipknot kind of started going downward. Disturbed started to go upward by this point. But this album from Avenged Sevenfold, City of Evil, some people would argue this was the album that helped make heavy metal relevant again to mainstream culture, because with this album, it introduced a return of old school elements like the old shredding guitar solos, epic songs, long songs. And this album is, I think, their longest album at 72 some minutes. And this album has a lot of hit singles for the band, Backcountry, Beast and the Harlot, Seize the Day, Burn It Down, all those tracks that got huge and heavy airplay on radio and even on MTV at this point. And it's to the point where Backcountry won Avenged Sevenfold an MTV VMA Award for Best New Artist, even though they technically weren't new, but they were new to mainstream music. But with this album, you notice that the big difference is that there are no growls or screamed vocals. It's all clean vocals. Pretty much by this point, they completely abandoned the metalcore scene and decided to go into being a heavy metal band, like standard metal, with even hints of speed and thrash metal here and there with certain tempos and riffs they write in their songs around this period. And even more progression coming into the album with certain tracks. But with this album, we also got to talk about the bookend songs. Beast and Harlot, the opening song on this album, was a phenomenal opening track. It's very fast and furious, heavy song, where once again you sound like you're listening to like Metallica and Iron Maiden, but you even hear a little bit of a Slayer influence with like the double bass playing you hear from the Rev, rest in peace. But also with the songs such as Seize the Day, showcasing their ability to write a softer song but with still an edge to it. And the music video to the song was very powerful as well. And this was one of those music videos that really captivates you. While the other music videos they had a lot of chicks in it, kind of doing the old hair metal cliche of the 80s, but it didn't matter because the songs themselves kicked ass. But with Seize the Day being a more like dramatic music video and a dramatic song, it definitely showcases that Avenged Sevenfold not only can write fast, aggressive songs, but soft, slow songs. But also you get to tracks such as Strength of the World and MIA that are the two longest songs of the album, spanning 9 minutes to 8.5 minutes respectively. It showcases their ability to even show that they can go progressive at times with different ideas musically and lyrically and even instrumentally, because they brought in some sounds like Middle Eastern guitars and steel guitars and stuff like that, in which Sinister Gates' dad, Brian Hayner Sr., plays some parts on this album, including an acoustic guitar solo on the song Sidewinder that just sounded beautiful. And also you would have orchestras and choirs on on MIA that made that song so powerful to the ear, just with the lyrics being all about like being against war and stuff like that, and showcasing like soft moments as well as very aggressive moments. And this is one of my favorite songs from the band, simply because of that fact that they're able to showcase their talent and their ability to have thought-provoking lyrics involved in their music, and it definitely showcases a lot for this band. And for this reason, I do feel that this album is the album that's responsible, in my opinion, for the classic heavy metal resurgence of the mid to late 2000s. Because once this album came out and after this album came out, you would see like old metal bands, older thrash bands, and even newer bands start to take influence from bands of the 70s and the 80s and putting it out there and people loving it. Metal bands would start doing more guitar solos as a result of this album, and even albums such as Ashes of the Wake by Lamb of God being another prime example of what really helped metal in the 2000s. Same can be said for Leviathan by Mastodon. There's just so much stuff with these kinds of albums that came out in the middle of the decade that really helped for old school metal to come back. So with this album, this is definitely their best musical album they've ever done. However, in terms of favorite, probably the second favorite of the catalog for me behind Waken the Fallen. But this album is better than Waken the Fallen, but it's my second favorite because Waken the Fallen just had that magic to it than when I first heard it. But City of Evil does kind of have that same magic, and it's a magical album. It definitely is an album that a lot of people who love this band can go back to and enjoy to this day. And I'm certainly one of them. But we wait another 2 years for another Avenged Sevenfold album. Can they build off the success of City of Evil and surpass it, or do they take a step back? We'll find out when we review the White Album.